Good morning, everyone, and welcome to San Diego New Church. Really glad you're here. Welcome to everyone online this morning and those that will join us later in the week. We're looking at a very brief series on loss. The Lord gives 3 short stories, all in the Gospel of Luke chapter 15. And as we look at these stories, it begs the question, why would the Lord give us this information? Why is it even part of His Word? Someone has 100 sheep. We assume he's a shepherd. We really don't know. It says this man who has 100 sheep, one of them goes missing. And he leaves the 99 and he goes off and he goes in search, in diligent effort to find that one sheep. And it says when he finds it, he lays it on his shoulders, he brings it back, and then he invites all his neighbors and his friends to come in and share in the celebration of the finding of that which was lost or that which was missing. He comes into great enjoyment for those that are near. Come and celebrate with me. And if we look at this particular story, it started out with 100 and then one goes missing. So if you think about this from a point of view of percentage or a point of view of loss, when we think about 1%, we don't think, well, that's all that significant. If you have $1 and you lose a penny, it's not that big a deal. We just feel, well, but it says the importance to the Lord in this story to not only share with us, but what happens when an aspect of our spiritual life goes missing? Something is not there. When we think about 100%, we always think about what is complete. And an aspect or a tiny little part goes missing, we feel that sense of loss, especially if we think about this sheep. It represents a state of innocence, and when we feel like we've lost some of that innocence, that connection with the Lord, this is a real thing that all of us go through when we're a little child and we feel like there's just this governance of God. There's this overarching providence or umbrella of the Lord's love and protection. A lot of that is generated from the affections, care, and guidance that we have from our parents. When we're little kids, we're not worrying about bills and taxes and the world around us. We really are in a state where we are protected, nurtured. We have this feeling of unbelievable tranquility in the world. Something happens when we start growing up. We move out of the governance of our immediate parents and their auspices. We start going out into the world, and then we realize that it's not as beautiful as we first believed. And as a result of this growing up and facing some real challenges in life, we find ourselves perhaps getting a little bit apathetic. There's a feeling of sadness. There's a feeling of loss when we experience sometimes the cruelty of the world. And in that moment, we feel a separation or perhaps a little bit distance from God. We don't feel like that unbelievable state of innocence, peace, and tranquility as a little child. When you're 5, 6 years old, you really have a remarkable sense that the world is pretty much an amazing place. When we grow up, the cynicism sort of has a way of creeping in. And in this feeling of maybe apathetic, become a little bit more cynical of the world, less trusting. We lose something. And the Lord said that which is lost is actually unbelievable value. We need that sense of humility. We need that sense of innocence, peace, tranquility, connection with the divine. The sheep represents this state of innocence, and it says He put it on His shoulders. What does it look like when we have that which was lost on the very shoulders of God? It says a man has 100 sheep. Who's the man? And He lays it on His shoulders, that powerful sense of what does it look like when we're resting on the shoulders of God? You know, in the first story, the sheep did nothing. Maybe wandered off, but it did nothing to be found. It simply was out there. And when that which is innocent is out there, it becomes subject to the attack. It's always the ones on the periphery that are taken off. Those that are in the center of the herd are well protected. They never get attacked. You see these videos of the migrations of the buffalo across these crocodile-infested rivers. And those in the center of the herd have no problem getting across. Those that are on the periphery, particularly the weak or the small, that are in a vulnerable state. That's what happens with innocence. It's vulnerable. And it stands very much ready to be picked off by predators. They become prey. And so there's a switch when we go from the word prey, P-R-E-Y, that which is ready to be picked off, to P-R-A-Y. What does it look like when we go from being prey to having prayer or pray? The sheep did nothing to be found. It says in this story, the man went out and he looked and he searched diligently, and when he found that which was lost, he laid it on his shoulders and he brought it back home. In today's story, there's something very similar. That which goes missing, it does absolutely nothing to be found. It's simply an element, an aspect. And in today's story, it talks about 10 coins. Now, I happen to have 10 coins. These are, if I hadn't put them together, they would have remained in a pristine state. These were uncirculated coins. And they happen to be Ike dollars from 1978, all of them. Before I put them together today, they were protected in a wonderful sleeve. And I just thought, it can stay in that wonderful sleeve protected, uncirculated. Well, maybe I could use them for an illustration today. So these are Ike silver dollars from 1978. They're basically pristine. And there are 10 of them. And these 10 coins, we can make them make a little sound. We can clink them. We can go and spend them. They're worth $1. They're actually worth a lot more as a collector's item. So they have a monetary or a face value. You can go out and spend this. This is valid currency. And we can think of a little bit today about money, because it talks about a woman in this story. And as soon as it says woman, our minds should immediately go to what is an affection, a love, a passion. It's not a man. A man had 100 sheep. This has more to do with the understanding, the intellect. We know that the Lord came as the Word made flesh. But here it says a woman has 10 coins, and they silver coins. And one of them goes missing. Now, when you have 10 coins or $10 and $1 is separated or goes missing, you still have money that can make noise. But what's changed in this story, not only is there a woman who has 10 coins, but the money, the value has changed. It went from a man having 100 sheep, one goes missing, 1%. With a woman who has 10 coins and one goes missing, now all of a sudden the loss is actually significantly greater, because we're now at 10%. And if you have 10% of something that goes missing, the sensation or the feeling is a lot greater. How important is it to the Lord that even 1% matters, that's sheep? But 10% has a different feeling for someone that's lost that 10%. We've all lost things in life. We all know what it feels like to have that something go missing, to no longer be present, and we have a profound sense of perhaps aggravation, if you're like me, frustration, and also a sense of sadness. What happened to it? Where is it? When we think about these coins, when we think about money, just a question. Why do we have money? What's its purpose? What's the purpose of money? If anyone has a bill on them, a dollar bill, maybe you can pull that out of your wallet right now. Just go ahead and find a bill, pull it out of your wallet, and take a look on that bill. Precisely, it tells us what is the purpose of money. It says so on the bill. Someone said it.
Legal tender for all debts.
Legal tender for all debts, both public and private. That's the purpose of money. It is legal tender for debt, public and private. The only purpose of money is it services debt. It's to be spent. It's its only purpose. Now, we might save it because we're saving for college, we're saving for a car, a house, retirement. It's irrelevant what you save it for. The end game is that you're going to spend it. It's money's only purpose. And what's fabulous about the money is it can be used for trade. We have assigned a value to money. We've just said, this is the value of this silly piece of metal. It's just a piece of metal. Or it's a piece of paper. Or it's a number in a computer screen. We've assigned value to that number, that coin, or that piece of paper. And we said, based on this value, I can then trade it for food at the grocery store, getting my hair done, not in my case, but I can use it to get my automobile fixed. And it's going to cost a certain number of these coins or these dollars in order to service that debt. And since we've agreed on the value of this thing, it allows us to trade all over the place. It's only because we've agreed on that value that this thing happens. What would it look like if all of a sudden California said, well, $1 is actually worth $3? And we go over to Arizona and we said, yeah, we're not buying that loaf of bread for $3. We're actually buying it with one of our dollars because our dollars are worth $3. Arizona would say, yeah, I don't know what you guys are really on, but that's not the way it works here. So we agree on something and there's value. Now, the reason I bring this up is, what is the spiritual value? What is the spiritual value of the commodities, the spiritual commodities that we have? There's a value to it. It very specifically says that these are silver coins, not gold, but silver. Gold has to do with love to the Lord. Silver always has to do with love to the neighbor. These are principles or doctrinal ideas. These 10 coins represent certain kinds of love and ideas that we have relative to our neighbors. And when an aspect or our ability to love or have an affection for that neighbor is missing, we know it. Oftentimes this happens when we're in disharmony with fellows. We sense that there's something not right with our relationship or our connection with our fellows. And what's interesting in that moment, the 9 coins are insignificant. They're missing something. And we know it. We know when we are spiritually missing a key aspect or element in our ability to have good and ongoing healthy relations with our fellows. We have stuff, but we're only at 90%. Isn't it interesting that the Lord always seeks reunification or unification? He wants us to be whole, complete, or holistic. The 90% is not enough. The 99% is not enough. As these stories progress, the loss increases, and the power of that loss increases. And in this story, it says this woman who has these coins, she has what is complete. When we're born into this world, we are born really perfect. We have done no thing wrong. Yes, we have a hereditary states of negativity that we lean towards, but we haven't done anything that's evil, bad, or wrong. We are born in many ways beautiful. We sense it when we hold a tiny, brand new baby. We sense the innocence. We sense the peace. We sense the connection and love of God. As we grow up and we start developing that ego, that sense of self-identity, and we learn that really powerful word that says, no. Parents tell us to do something, no. And then we learn how to become a little bit deceitful, and we misrepresent or characterize the activities that we were involved in by fabricating a wonderful story that doesn't make what we did nearly as terrible or bad or wrong. And so we do this thing called the falsification of truth. We tell lies. We become less beautiful, not so perfect. And as we learn to grow up in life and we realize that we are missing, there is a longing, a desire to return to that place of innocence. The Lord gives us this opportunity. He does not invite us back to the Garden of Eden. He does not invite us to become little children. We don't grow young, but we can grow in innocence, and this is called the innocence of wisdom. We learn that the truth matters, and regardless of the immediate consequences and the challenges that we face up to what we've done. We become accountable, and we say things like, my bad, I can't believe I did that, I'm really sorry, I didn't intend that, how can I make this right? And there is a return. There is a reunification. There's a connection back. I want peace, innocence, love, kindness, affection. What this woman does is really interesting, and in so many times in the Lord's Word, if we just open our eyes to it, we'll always see this idea of trine or trinity or threeness. In the grand scheme of things, it represents love, wisdom, and use. In the doctrine of the Lord or the divine sense, when we're thinking about God, Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Love, wisdom, use, good, truth, charity. We look at these different elements of Trinity or trine, and they are throughout the Word. What this woman does, first of all, is she lights a candle. The ability to see. You light a candle because they're in dark or obscure places. It's from the Latin, but the Spanish have this wonderful word called oscuros, dark. They even use that for sunglasses. Oscuros lentos, these sunglasses, they darkened. You can't see. When we have this obscure or darkened place, we light a candle so that we can clearly see what is at stake and what we're working with and within the bounds. How many times do we lose something? We know precisely where we lost it. It's somewhere in this house. Isn't that fascinating? We know where it's missing, and we cannot find it. We know where, and we can't find it. Fascinating, right? Talk about an oxymoron. We know precisely where it is. Somewhere in the house, but it's missing. In this story, she lights a lamp. She lights a candle. So the ability to see. We cannot move forward until we know where we are, until we know what we're dealing with. One of the most valuable things about that giant big map sign that you see when you first walk into the mall, you walk up to this information booth and you're looking to go to some place in that mall. It doesn't matter what it is. Let's just say it's the Apple Store or Macy's or something. We know where we're going. That map is precisely useless to you until you know one absolutely essential piece of information. Where you are. There's a big red arrow that says, you are here. Oh, now we know. You can't go anywhere until we know where we are. That's the lighting of the lamp. That's the lighting of the candle. To see the state for what it is. To see what we're working with and how we might then proceed. She does something else. She sweeps. Cleaning up our side of the street. I love this analogy. This is a really, really good thing. We're not there to clean up the lives of other people. We're not here to regenerate for other people. We cannot do it. We cannot grow spiritually for anyone else in this world. It is impossible. We can only do it for ourselves, and we do that by cleaning up our side of the street. We got to clean up our mess. And it says this woman sweeps. She cleans her house. She takes time, effort, and attention to sweep up. She cleans her house, and when she does this, it says, in that moment, she begins to do the third activity. Once there's light, and the space is clean, organized, then we can look. We've got this idea that we just go out, seek and you will find. But the truth of the matter is there's preparatory things that have to be in place first. We don't simply find. If your desk's like my desk, there's stuff everywhere. There's no way I'm finding anything on my desk until I try and get it organized. And I do it very, very poorly. And oftentimes I'll organize it just enough to find what's missing. Light the lamp. Sweep the house, and then seek. And this story is really intriguing because it's only 3 very, very short verses long. And we can almost, if we just look at it at face value, why is this even part of Scripture? What is God telling us here? What is our takeaway? How is this of any importance whatsoever for our spiritual growth and development? First thing to remember about this story is the loss has radically increased. We went from 1% with that sheep. Man had 100 sheep. One of them went missing. He goes out, finds it, rejoices, puts it on his shoulders, brings him back. Come and be happy with me, for I found my sheep that was lost. 1%. Now we move to 10%. One of her silver coins has gone missing. And this silver coin represents powerful ideas and affections that enable us to have positive and ongoing good relations with our fellows. Silver coin. This is a spiritual doctrine, a spiritual thing. Love to the neighbor. If it was gold, it would be the celestial, the highest, or love to God. But she says she had a silver coin that went missing. See, the Lord speaking in parables. It says, and God spoke to them in parables, and without a parable he did not speak to them. He was telling them not about simple money. He was using this as an analogy, something very relatable. Because we've all lost things. We know what it feels like. And when we've lost something, we have that profound sense of aggravation, frustration, sadness. And we can wallow in that for as long as we like, and then we might want to make a change. What does it look like when we say, I've lost something of value? There's some innocence, some peace, tranquility, and I'm looking for reunification, to join up with the other the other 9. And now it's 10. And it represents a complete complement of remnant states of goodness. These are sometimes called remains, remaining states of goodness and affection. And they reunited. And there's something whole. And when there is that reunification, it brings about a profound change in the emotional and mental state of the individual involved. It says this lady was immensely happy. She had great delight, and what she immediately did, like everything that has to do with goodness and truth, there is an immediate desire to share that with others. She called her neighbors. Said, I found my coin. Found that which was lost. I have that sense of, again, trust and an umbrella feeling underneath the governance and the guidance and the providence of God. I feel connected again. It's whole. It's complete. We know what it feels like to have something go missing. And we have this amazing sense of finding it. It's almost like an immediate lifting up within. Profound sense of gratitude and relief. What does the Lord want for us? If not a profound sense of gratitude and relief, not just for our life, but what we can bring to others. The purpose of money is to satisfy debt. We know what it feels like when we don't have it. The lack of financial resources is a sometimes terrifying feeling. And we know what it feels like when we have that state of, it's going to be okay. We know what that feels like. It's going to be okay. Sometimes the Lord finds a way when there seems to be no way. And her rejoicing. Thank you, Lord. Thank you. I got to share this with others. And she invites. Oh, the Lord is always inviting. Time after time. Come unto me. Open the door and I will come in and sup with him. The Lord is always, always inviting. Come and have breakfast. Always inviting. And she invites her neighbors and says, come and celebrate with me. Come and experience some of the joy that I am having. The writings for the new church are very strong on this. They said, genuine love. Love is this idea of wanting to share with others, to be united with others, to be connected with them, and to have there be joy with them, that our joy might be their joy. The Lord said that my joy might remain in you and your joy might be full. Not half measures, not just a little bit, full. The woman experiences this. As I read this story, pay attention to the details. Notice the trine, lighting of the candle, sweeping of the floor in the house, and then seeking until something is found. Notice the action words here and the process involved. It's not simply looking. We need the light. We need the clean space. What does it look like when we have the light of the Lord's divine truth in our life, in a space that we have cleaned up to make ready for the Lord? I love this idea of getting rid of the garbage so God and us can fill it with good things. Getting rid of the garbage, the things that are not helpful or unuseful. Cleaning up. Sometimes cleaning up means discarding, getting rid of. When we think about money, it's the medium for exchange. It's the medium. And it allows us to do things, procure things that are going to be of use and of value. What is the medium if not the Lord's truth? These incredibly powerful doctrines or teachings, so essential for us getting on with those around us. And when we experience this, the net result is joy. Going from the sadness of loss, the frustration, sometimes anger, to the joy, the feeling of unification, the sense of peace, and the desire to want to share that joy with others, that my joy might remain in you and your joy might be full. In this story, the reunification is more significant. It's not 1%. It's 10%. The unification of that 10% is very meaningful relative to the 10 coins. Meaningful. You can read along in Gospel of Luke chapter 15 and verse 8. Or what woman having 10 silver coins, if she loses 1 coin, does not light a lamp, sweep the house, and search diligently until she finds it? I love this idea that it's ongoing. It's a constant and a ongoing search or activity. It's not a one-time event. She searches diligently. This consistent drive. And when she has found it, she calls her friends and neighbors together, saying, "Rejoice with me, for I have found the piece which was lost." We have a part in our spiritual growth and development. It's not us just sitting back and saying, "God, please just make me right. Just heal me. Just bring about my spiritual growth and development, my regeneration." The Lord invites us to be active participants with Him in our process of growth. It is from the affection, from our genuine desire for unification, for connection, for that wholeness, that we light the lamp, that we ignite the imagination, the understanding to be able to see. The purpose of lighting the lamp is sight. If there was no purpose in it, why would we do it? When we open our eyes to what the Lord is capable of doing, to be able to really see these truths, but then we have a responsibility to clean up, to sweep away all the stuff that is standing in the way of the power and love of the Lord flowing in. It's getting rid of the obstacles, the dirt, the challenges, the difficulties that we sometimes face in this world, to overcome hard-set ideas that are actually preventing God. Some of us have these. All of us have these. So much so that there's actually a state in the world of spirits after death called instruction, where good people who have not separated themselves off or taken themselves off to a place where they can be as happy as they possibly can be, call that hell. Second state of the world of spirits is a time of separation of the good and the evil. And then the good need this time of true understanding and correcting of false ideas or narratives that are no longer of use or have no place in heaven. And it says the third state in the world of spirits is one of instruction. We're all going to have a re-education, because sometimes hard ideas that we've held throughout our lives, even though our overarching love is good, we hold on to false ideas that have to be separated, swept away, done away with, so that then we have the capacity to go after what really matters. The innocence that is lost, that feeling of genuine connection and well-being with the Lord, so that there can be holistic, healthy, and wholeness to 10 coins, a full complement. You know how important this idea of 10 is? Just think that all of the Lord's Word is based on 10 fundamental principles. The 10 Commandments are the basis of it all. Fundamental principles that teach us how to be better humans one day at a time. And in this story, it says the woman, when she finds that coin, she was so excited, she had a welcoming and an embracing with her friends. Thank you. Come celebrate with me. That which was lost is found. I have found my coin. I've found this thing that has left me isolated. And it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. When we think about these coins, I would invite you to think about, is there a relationship? Is there something going on in your life that is perhaps not what it could be? We're at 90%, not 100. Something that we feel like is missing is still in play. What do we need to do to light a candle, light a lamp, to clean up our side? Other people may have done things that are wrong. We've all had this experience. They may owe us an apology. They may owe us a lot. We're frustrated with how they act and how they're behaving and what they're doing. Cannot change them. The lady is not out there sweeping her neighbor's houses. We can only take care of our own. The goal of all of this is that lost coin. Reunification, connection, holistic health. She sweeps and then seeks. What does it look like when we go after what really matters? What really matters? Isn't it the connections and the loves and the feelings that we have one for another? These are the important, valuable things. And when we have that return, when we feel that reunification, we have a sense of well-being. We know when things are right and when they're not. And when they're right, there's an absolute desire to celebrate. Come and rejoice with me. He goes to her friends and neighbors. That which was lost is found. When we feel at peace, we are complete. We're at peace with ourselves, with others, with God. We have this sense of well-being. That's called health. Well-being is a kind of spiritual healing. And we know when we're in that state. We inherently know that right now, in this space and in this moment, the world is a beautiful place. We see the beauty around us. Yes, there's negativity. There's plenty. Just turn on the news. It's not our focus. When we are in a state of spiritual wellness, we are in a state of connection, and what's amazing is we want to share. We want to have other people experience that. We want them to experience something of the joy and the wonder and the delight that we're experiencing. We want connections. And the result of all of this is love. Yes, it's about finding the coin, but the end game is the rejoicing. Yes, it's important to have doctrines and principles and guiding ideas that service us in this world. We have 10 commandments. We have 10 coins. The goal is the peace it brings. The goal is the charity, the love. That my joy might remain in you, and your joy might be full. Amen.